Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here to discuss Leeds United 0, Man City 1 with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever is Jason Booker. Good morning, Jason. If you're watching along live, please do get your comments in, like the video, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Well, there we go. It was yesterday's tea time kickoff. Leeds United narrowly losing to Manchester City. Lots of talking points, lots and lots of talking points, mainly to do with refereeing and lack of VAR involvement and whatnot. We're going to get through that. Just kind of off.
Great start from Brown. We will just give him half a second to come back into the room. At least he's not had a horror show of a face. Like it just looks like a profile, doesn't it? It just looks like he's posing for a LinkedIn picture. I think he was on the way to talk. Hello. There, is he back?
Hey, I'm back.
I'm back. You couldn't have broke off at one point because you didn't even give me anything to talk about. I was like,
I know. I was about to say how well Leeds did yesterday, just to kind of sum up my my thoughts on the game, and then I'll get your take on it as well, Jay. I mean, I thought it was completely different to the Arsenal game. I think going into it, when you're playing a top team, and you're looking at, the individual quality and everything, and what Manchester City are playing for as well, you're always a little bit worried thinking, is it another kind of Arsenal drubbing coming our way, that kind of thing. But this was not anything of the sort. Leeds United, they came out, attacked Man City, created some unbelievable chances. A couple of those you should go in, one definitely, got to put that away. Doesn't happen, but I mean, the incredible stat from the first half, Jay, was that Leeds had 1 XG versus Manchester City's complete 0 at 40 minutes. I mean, it's staggering stuff. And Man City obviously dominated possession, but didn't really do much with it. And Leeds were doing that Leeds thing of carving out chances and making things happen. Thought Aronson was excellent and just really, really good chances that we were carving out against obviously a top class team. And then Man City kind of, ramped up the pressure. They started kind of, some of the combinations started to work, and then obviously they get the goal. Second half, Leeds pushed and tried to make things happen. Obviously went for it at the end as well. Lots of attacking substitutions, but couldn't quite, get. I think a draw would have been fully deserved from that. I thought it was a really spirited performance. I think it's another one to add in the collection of very promising performances, a lot of heart, a lot of fight, just probably not quite enough quality at the key moments just to kind of make it go our way. But again, a performance, Jay, that we can be rightly proud of.
Yeah, I think that they're a very different side to Arsenal. I've made the point that I think Arsenal are a bit of our kryptonites.
Yeah,
they're just systematically a very rigid and difficult, and I just think that we play into their hands. Unfortunately, I think every other team in the division we're more than capable of being competitive with. And even though I have a sneaky feeling Man City might pull it off, I think that comes from an experience point of view, and Pep, and the pressure's different, and all these other little facets rather than actual quality. I think that Man City team are there to be got at. We saw that again yesterday. We saw that at the Etihad. We've seen it throughout the whole of the season. Whereas I think Arsenal, when they're right at it, I think they're pretty much perfect. I do. They might be missing one, maybe an out-and-out proper killer number 9. I know Gyökeres is hot and cold, but they're very, very, very good. Whereas City, they do have weak links. Erling Haaland weren't playing yesterday either, which did change the kind of dynamic a little bit for us. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to know whether Biol would have started if Erling Haaland would have been available. Maybe Leeds knew that. I don't know. Maybe we can discuss, the starting lineup at some point. But I think from a Leeds perspective, mate, it's everything that you can continue to hope to want to see for a team that is still always going to finish in the bottom 5 or 6, regardless of what position that is. When you've got Man City coming to Ellen Road and you're able to compete in such a way, we should have been probably we should have been 2-0 up, shouldn't we, before they scored?
Yeah.
If Calvert-Lewin scores the opening one early on, the game's a completely different kettle of fish, because Ellen Road would have just gone off.
Yeah.
The atmosphere in there would have been electric. You have something to hold on to. The chances that they then create are different. It's just a different dynamic of the game. So, and in key moments, these moments are massive. They're absolutely massive, especially when you know the chances are going to start to dry up and the opposition are going to grow into the game. So, yeah, I think for us, mate, we have to take so much positive from it. Dead honest, before these 3 games, we'd have taken 1 point out of the 3. We've got 2. It were a complete bonus yesterday anyway. It'd have been lovely to have taken something which would have just given us that even bigger buffer and comfort. But let's be fair, we'd have taken finishing the day no closer to West Ham than what we started, which is what we've gone through another game week doing. So
yeah, absolutely. And they've had their goal difference hammered again, haven't they, as well? They've conceded, another 3 on that as well. And that's the thing as well, Jay, with that West Ham result coming through as well before, for me, it just kind of, not that you're putting pressure on it, because obviously it's a difficult team coming, what are your expectations when you're playing, second in the league? But it was nice to know that, look, it is kind of a free hit and it doesn't really matter, because West Ham have lost. That 6-point gap is still there, and it's another game chalked down, and they've also conceded a hatful as well. So, it all helps.
Yeah, and this is the first real live team that West Ham have played, and Liverpool are pretty average this season. And they walked into a 3-0 lead. West Ham were making mistakes all over the place. And yeah, they've managed to score 2, but again, game state, when you're 3-0 down, it's far easier to go and pull 1 back. They're still conceding 5. Yeah. That's not ideal. At any stage of the season, we've conceded 5 to Arsenal. That's it. And we've just made the point around Arsenal. Liverpool are not Arsenal this season, not even close. So I just think we've seen the West Ham before this kind of run. But when you really pick apart the games that they pick them points up in, I don't think it does enough for me to forget the opening 20 for West Ham. So I would imagine that you'll see more results like this from West Ham, especially away from home as the season draws closer, the pressure gets bigger. I don't know what other head-to-heads they've got, West Ham, before the end of the season, but the home form is going to be massive. And up until a few weeks ago, they were really struggling at home as well. So how will the unrest set in, the next time they go behind at home and they really need to win that home game? I don't feel like Leeds are in that kind of pressure. I don't try and take too much from the Opta stats, but they do mean something. They're a mathematical equation based on the games that we've got left and the points gap that we've already got. And the fact that is saying that we've got less than a 2% chance of going down just tells me that we should be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
West Ham are not going to pick up that level of points.
No, well, they've got to get 7 points on us because of that goal difference. And you just think, you look at it and going, where's the 7-point swing going to happen? And they've given themselves so much to do by how poor they were. And yes, they've had this little revival bump. But yeah, when you actually look at the games they've played and what's happened, it's not as if they've blown it away. They won 7 straight games or something ridiculous like that. And you could easily see it going back. I mean, if that was us that had lost 5-2, you're a bit, what does that do to your mentality? I mean, defensively, they were shocking. Set pieces, they were shocking, so vulnerable. So yeah, it is interesting to see how that will factor in, and we will kind of go through a little relegation rival watch as well. Obviously, a couple of big games coming up today as well that we'll be keeping an eye on. In terms of the starting lineup, you mentioned it, and kind of obviously we're going to be kind of moving about different parts of the game, but I did want to cover off one thing. Same team as it was against Aston Villa. You mentioned there about Beal and Man City's goal, Jay. Some fingers pointed at Rodon for not kind of throwing himself at that, kind of hitting it, even if you end up scoring an OG, but, trying to do something with that. Obviously, Stack doesn't follow his man either, but I do have sympathy when Man City are buzzing around like that. It's an absolute nightmare to track. And, we've talked before about Beal, how highly we rate him. And the question is, well, then who would you drop? James Justin, excellent again yesterday. Strike was really good yesterday. Strike was brilliant yesterday. There was no strikeisms, how we talk about sometimes giving possession away cheaply. None of that. And you're looking at Rodon now possibly as maybe the most vulnerable of the three in terms of who would come out for Beal. I think Beal gives you dimensions to his game that you don't get with Rodon. I feel like with Rodon, and I love Rodon, I feel like whereas before he was maybe 8, 9s, and 10s out of 10, it just feels as if it's just dropped a little bit lower since he came back from that injury before. And it feels super harsh and super critical because it does feel a bit like nitpicking, but there's just little things that he's doing that weren't happening before. And when you've got someone of Beal's qualities sitting there on the bench and he offers way more set piece, way more in terms of set pieces
aerial threat
than Rodon does, aerial threat. You just wonder, is that a position that's up for question a little bit now? Whereas, before Rodon was, one of the first names on the team sheet. But I mean, where do you stand on that? I mean, first of all, the goal yesterday, do you look at Rodon at that and say needs to do something there, or is it just a fantastic ball across? I mean, what did you make of that?
It is a tricky one, and I think even when you have favourites, you're still capable of then reanalyzing the situation and taking stock and criticising where it's needed. It doesn't matter whether that's Brendan Aronson for me, or Stack, or Ampadu even. I heard Ampadu had a really, really poor game yesterday. Just slight disclaimer, I've only seen the extended highlights. So I've been picking up on everything, but I've not seen the full game. So you kind of can miss some of the negatives and positives of an individual when you've not seen the full 90. For me, with Rodon, I agree with you. I think it's 6s and 7s since he's come back from his injury rather than the 8s, 9s, and the 10s. There's been a large part of this season where I think he's been excellent. He was brilliant. I mean, up until that Sunderland game, he was monumental in the change in form. But yeah, there seems to be a bit of a hesitation, maybe with his body at times. My first gut instinct when I watched the goal was, why has he not cut that out when it's come across him? Yes, it's put across at pace, but there's enough time for him to react. And I believe Yaka would have put that out for a corner. I just believe he would have done in that moment. I think they're both very good defenders at getting the bodies in the way. I think they're both very good at that usually. But we've seen this with Rodon over the last 3 or 4 weeks, goals that we're conceding. He could have made a difference and didn't. Like, whenever the thing is, whenever an opposition player scores a goal, there's a mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
In there. So, and you have to sometimes just accept the fact that is the way that the opposition have managed to open up and a moment's been created.
Yeah.
But you still can then pick holes in the defensive side of it if there is some. So yeah, it did feel like he could have done a little bit better for me. It did feel like he could have done, and I did find myself saying if Yaka would have been in exactly the same spot, I believe he gets a leg to it.
Yeah.
So it is rough though with Joe, because he's been such a good acquisition over 3 years, and we're not washing his hands with him, are we? That's not what we're saying here. The problem really is James Justin, because Rodon would have been in that right centre back spot and be all in the centre. James Justin's brought himself into the equation and has earned a starting 11 spot, and you have to say fair play to the lad. I also think where Rodon's concerned, he has Daniel Farke's trust. He's one of his absolute mainstays. So even if the performances are slightly dropped, he still trusts him out there as one of his marshals, as one of his guard, so, and that does hold value. It's same as Liam Cooper. Liam Cooper had that with managers time after time, even though you would have potentially wanted Llorente and Robin Koch to start together. You know what I mean? Like, you had that kind of trust in Liam Cooper and in everything that he brought to the team outside of just being a footballer. So it's a tricky one. It's a real tricky one to balance. I would be happy to see him come out and Yaka to earn that spot. At the same time, if Daniel Farke persists with the way that this is going, I understand it, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? When the results are what they are, and you're ticking over good performances, you're less inclined to kind of mix that up. But just from a personal point of view, I'm disappointed not to see Beale on the pitch. Every time when he's not in that starting 11, I am a little bit disappointed. But it's not like a blame thing. I'm not going, why are you starting? But it's just that frustrating because I just him in that middle of a back three, just so classy and composed. The aerial threat, his distribution as well. I do think, we do lose something from that position because he's better than Joe at that. But I think for all the reasons you've mentioned, Rodon's earned Farke's trust over 2.5 years, and he's never let us down. And it's the Premier League. You're getting tested at the highest level. And yesterday is one of those moments, isn't it? I mean, Man City, if you look at their chances over the course of the game, and this has been, this run that we've had since the last time we played Man City. And even before that, we just don't give teams a lot of chances. So it's them small little details where, Stack don't follow his man up, he's away. Rodon doesn't quite throw himself at that, but you do wonder if there's something else going on with Rodon because you bang on. I remember one of the Arsenal goals, he doesn't jump for it. Those little things where that's meat and potatoes for Joe Rodon. That's what Joe Rodon's about. So I wonder what happened there. I don't think he fully, because he was back in the team so fast after that nasty injury at Sunderland. And you just wonder, did he come back a little bit too quick? Or I know there's certain players like Ampadu, we always get Ampadu back in the team. And I just wonder if that rhythm is just a little bit kind of off since then. It's not quite clicked back in yet.
Well, we were all sweating one way after the Sunderland injury of what it would have cost us to lose Joe Rodon. I remember us thinking that. And, we went into I can't remember the games. I think Manchester United was one of them. We went, and, we had the route with Bornau and who was going to play there, and then James Justin's kind of come in at this right centre back spot when Pascal was out, I think it was.
Yeah.
The back four got shifted around a bit, the back five got shifted around a bit, and James Justin's played so well that it's then created this situation where you've had to shoehorn Rodon in. Well, Biol got injured as well, didn't he? Biol was out for 3 weeks too.
Right. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe Biol's not fully fit. Maybe the feeling like he needs a little bit more reintegration time back into the side. I don't. It's tricky to say, and we are nitpicking because we've lost a game in which still there was a really high performance. We're against one of the best teams in the division, potentially the Premier League champions. I've watched that goal a few times yesterday. We don't have the capability to score that goal.
No, we don't. No.
Because the pass from Ryan Cherky that sets, I forget who it is, that then whips it back across left-footed. It was Nuri, yeah. That pass from Cherky, we haven't got a single player on the pitch that's capable of producing that pass. No. It slides through 3 Leeds players on an absolute dime. Nuri barely even has to break stride to be able to then whip that cross in. Now, it's not that we don't play great football, but the individual quality that Cherky's got to be able to create that moment, that's the difference between the two sides.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the finish of Semenyo, really. He can't miss. He's 5 yards out. The cross, to many degree, is literally just put it in there. Gabby had produced that cross. But the pass before that sets the move off, that's the difference between, I look at it from a Leeds perspective. We don't even do anything wrong, mate. We really don't. Like, Stack's got a good position. I think it's Bogle's got a good position. James Justin's got a good position. There's one run of Nuri off. You can't, as a defender, you can't react really before the attacker does, because you are basing your defensive position on where you need to be and then the movement of the opposition. He moves great in that spot, and then he relies on an unbelievable pass. So it seems a bit harsh, really, to be picking so many negatives in it, really.
Well, yeah, absolutely. At the other end of the pitch, then Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it does feel like he's picking out the negatives. We're not. We're just kind of going through the talking points. But Calvert-Lewin, the chance. A beautiful ball from Brendan. Brendan does so. The thing. Just a quick mention on Brendan as well. His decision making and everything is just. This season it's just gone up absolute levels. But it's kind of perfect through for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, his left foot is his weaker foot, and he kind of lets it go across him and then slots it. But it's wide. That's life of a striker, isn't it? That's like, we know Dom, is not the most clinical finisher anyway in the world. But it's those kind of moments, isn't it, Jay, when if you're coming up opposition like that, you've got to try and take that. Look, you can't be critical of him too much, of what he's given us and what he brings. I thought he was doing Dominic Calvert-Lewin stuff again yesterday. He's just a general difficult player for opposition to deal with. I don't think he has tons of quality on the ball, if he's got space and that kind of thing. Like I say, I don't think he's the best finisher. But yeah, agonising to watch that chance go wide. What did you make of it? I mean, there's not too much to analyse. It's just, look, should he have? I mean, would you you think it's coming across? I mean, is the ball too hard to take a touch and then do it, or should he attack it with his right foot and go against it? And it's that kind of thing, isn't it? But again, it's a bit nitpicky, really, for it.
Maybe a little, but I understand it. I mean, it's definitely good to observe and kind of pick it apart a little bit. I think given the way that the officials were officiating the game, I reckon it gets ruled out anyway for the foul on Gay halfway. I think he maybe does foul in. I don't know. It's a bit of a 50-50. Gay don't make anything of it, though, to be fair. He gets on with it, so who knows? For me, it seems a little bit strange to open your body up onto your weaker side to take that with your instep. And when the ball's coming across at that kind of pace on the half volley with your left foot, I mean, I were a striker for a long time. I still like to think that I can finish a fair bit, and there's no world in which I would have kind of done that, because I'm not great on my left side either. But what I think it does say, it says a lot about where his confidence is at, because he had got the confidence to do that. If the ball was coming across from the other side, it's exactly what I would have done, because I'd have put it onto my stronger foot, because that would have made the most sense in terms of then controlling the finish. So I understand why he's done it, but given the fact that it's gone onto his weak side, I personally would have tried to lace that first time on the stronger side. Yeah. But it's one of them, you have a flash second to make a decision, and he's made the decision and he's unfortunately put it wide. I think that's a harder chance than the one that Brendan has. Brendan has a long time, unfortunately, to think about it, and the touch that he takes directly before then making the strike is too heavy. It takes a bit of a bobble as well. If you watch it, it bobbles up a bit as he's taking the touch. I mean, Donnarumma, I made a point about him in the preview. The guy's just a bit. I'm thinking from Brendan's point of view as he's bearing down on goal and he's seeing this massive juggernaut of a keeper in front of him. The guy is ridiculous. He's exactly what Meslier should have grown into, really. Yeah. The way that he just looks like a Priya Mantis in there, doesn't he? He's massive.
It's well, he's got the psychological. I feel like Donnarumma now is at a point where psychologically, if you're a striker bearing down on him, it probably makes you second guess yourself. Because of his reputation alone, probably freaks strikers out.
It's just a funny one. I saw Sky analysing the difference between Raya and Donnarumma the other day and who they would have. And the stats were basically putting it in Raya's favour in terms of I think in terms of long range saves, Donnarumma was in front, but all of the other key metrics, Raya was kind of in front, one-on-ones and all this. But I was thinking, like, if I was bearing down on the keeper, I'd want to be facing Raya every day of the week. Just like you said, that mental kind of thing. And just for a moment, because it was just so unbelievable. That Jordan Pickford save yesterday.
Oh,
I have never seen a long range save like it. It's if you've not seen it, for anybody watching, go and watch the Everton Newcastle game yesterday. The game's 3-7. Tonali, and he rockets it. First time on the volley, it's coming out of the air. It'd have been potentially. It reminded me of the Rooney volley against Newcastle actually years ago. It's similar to that in the way that it acts. And this reaction from Tonali hitting the ball to Pickford making the save, it's less than a second. You can't even blink your eyes. It's that quick. And Pickford somehow reacts his left hand up to tip it onto the bar. It's unreal, isn't it? It's an unbelievable save. It might be the best save I've ever seen. It might be the best save I've ever seen. It's literally insane.
Yeah, it's well worth checking out because that was one of the ones on Match of the Day. I was like, what?
I watched it about 20 times. It's unbelievable.
Speaking of keepers, Darlow, some really, really good saves again yesterday. Solid output from him. I mean, he has got a spectacular save in him as well, hasn't he, Darlow? So the moment though, oh my God, I have got to touch.
He went ape shit, didn't he?
Oh, rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. I mean, Ampadu had a stinker on the ball yesterday. He had an absolute stinker in possession on the ball. I understand. So what happened basically, I mean, probably everyone's seen it, was watching this, but Darlow makes a really good save and the ball kind of spools back into the area. Ampadu's thinking, if I can head this back to Darlow, we'll have calm possession. It'll go back to Darlow and then it stops all this panic. That's what he's thinking. But it's just not the time because Darlow's literally getting himself off the ground after this spectacular save. And it was one of those heart in mouths moments. You're like, what have you done? And then the ball kind of ends up ricocheting around again and we managed to get it away. But that summed up Ampadu's day in terms of decision making on the ball. Some of the decisions he was making, I think execution as well. It wasn't just decisions. His execution was off yesterday. But yeah, that was Darlow went absolutely crackers, and rightly so, I think.
Well, I mean, everybody's, excusable for the odd.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Ethan's been monumental recently. So no slide on him.
No.
He had a bad day at the office. But he's done this back pass a few times recently. It seems like a new thing that he's kind of adopted where he heads it back from about 40 yards out just to kind of take the pressure. And it's never been, it's never come with bad consequences up until that one last night. And thankfully we got away with it. And Darlow, so mild-mannered usually, he lost it with Ethan, didn't he? He absolutely lost it with him. And you can understand because he makes an absolute brilliant save.
Yeah.
And then Ethan basically just nearly undoes all the hard work.
There you go.
Have it back, have another go. So it was a bizarre one. But Darlow as a whole, look, I were a bit unsure of the decision after the Birmingham game to not bring Perry back in. I didn't really understand it. I still don't understand the long-term thinking and project around Perry. I don't. I can only imagine that come the end of the season he's going to move on and we'll replace him. I can't imagine with 10 games of the Premier League to go, starting with Carl Darlow and not trying Perry again in this moment is ever going to. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's still got a decent reputation. Still got long on his contract. Maybe, I don't know. And the facts are is that maybe there is a world in which Darlow keeps the place for the rest of the season. We stay up and then he rebuilds Perry with a better team in front of him. I don't know. Maybe that is in his thinking. I don't know. But as it stands at the minute, Daniel Farke's proven me wrong because Darlow's been excellent. If I'm honest, he's been brilliant. And I think it's 3 games since. He pulled off some absolute wonder saves against Forest. I think it was. There were a couple of really good saves in that.
It's Forest. Who was the other one? Who was the other one?
I made
obviously there were
the big double save against Villa.
Yeah.
So,
Chelsea, I think probably a couple in there as well.
You can't really knock what he's then done. He's looked switched on. He's looked secure. I think his kicking's improved. I think they've become more of the service that Dominic Calvert-Lewin needs when you go along to him. So I can't argue it, mate. And I thought yesterday, the 2 big ones that he made yesterday were really, really, really top saves. The Gay header, and there was another one, not just the Ethan situation. There was another header I felt in the second half that were going towards his left-hand side. So mate, you can't argue. You can't argue that he's earned the spot.
No. In terms of some of the substitutions, obviously it might be a little bit tricky if you've not seen the game, but essentially Aronson came off quite early. Actually, it was like 60 minutes when he came off, and I was a bit surprised at that. I was surprised because I thought Aronson was really kind of sharp and still pressing well. Now I don't know if there was a thought in mind that 3 days later you've got Sunderland coming and fit and firing Aronson. You want him at 100% for that one. So I don't know if there was that factor came in. Mecha came on, couldn't get too involved in the game. A little bit tricky for him. Nonto and James was an interesting substitution that came on. I mean, with Willie, it was funny because after what we've said, he came on, he literally gave the ball away straight away and then conceded a free kick. And you're thinking, oh, Willie, what's going on here? But actually, after that, he had a positive positive influence. The thing with Nonto is he has got the technique. You know, he can control a football. You know, because I feel sometimes with Leeds, especially, you know, if you take Aronson off, who's got close ball control, who can kind of, you know, or and Okafor being injured as well. Because, you know, Calvert-Lewin, Metcher, you know, they're not incredibly skillful in terms of ball carrying and all that kind of stuff. I feel like if Aronson came off, and I thought we missed that when Aronson came off, but I thought Nonto is very good at kind of holding onto the ball, slowing it down, you know, that kind of thing. I thought he did that well, and he created a couple of moments. And then on the other side, you had Dan James, and Dan James, it's explosion. It's just bam, bam, bang. And a couple of really good crosses actually from Dan James, and he looked kind of sharp. One cross that he did a typical kind of whoosh, 50 feet over kind of thing. But I thought it was good. I thought it was a good cameo appearance from them both, positive. Peru came on, but again, didn't see much of the ball. But there was no doubt about it, Jay, that Farke was not just going to sit back and accept a 1-0 defeat. He was going to make sure that he tried to go for it a bit. And two positive cameos from two players that, you know, it'll be a big summer. Be interested to see where their futures lie. But at least, you know, against a top team, they were able to impact things, albeit, you know, couldn't get the point, unfortunately.
And I think Daniel Farke wanted to win that game yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't think there were a world in which he set up to just see out a 0-0 draw or anything like that. I mean, you see that with the way that we set up in the game. I think whenever you start James Justin as the right centre back, I think instantly my mind is okay. He's attacking. That's an attacking selection for me, because a defensive selection would be Biel in the middle and Rodon at right centre back. James Justin ends up in the opposition box a lot. I made this point in the preview that when James Justin plays there, we're basically playing 4-2-3-1 in possession. We don't play 5 at the back. It's a myth. It's a proper myth. So I think he went for it, and I think the substitution showed that. I know Pirro ended up on the pitch. I've still seen people saying that Buonanotte should be having game time over Pirro and Dan James, and I'm like, you're just special at this stage. Like I don't get it.
I don't think will we see him again? I mean,
I'm not sure we will, and I'm not sure we should. We might see him in the Norwich game. Is that next Sunday?
Sunday.
We might see him in that, but based on what we've seen, we shouldn't. Dan James is our player. Joe Perreault right now is our player, and I believe also that they offer us more in the version of Buonanotte that we're seeing. So, and Nonto for that matter as well. So it's good to hear that Nonto and Dan James have made an impact. I think James looked good when he came on against. Before he got another little knock.
Villa or something, or.
No, I don't think it was Villa. I think it were the one before that. I can't remember which one it was. But he looked decent when he came on, and then he got another little knock, and he were back out. Yeah, because he were out for the Birmingham Cup game, and we were surprised that he'd not played. It was the one before that.
Yeah.
And Nonto really needs to show some impact. He does, especially while Okafor's out. I'm hoping Okafor's not going to be out for too much longer. I'm hoping he's going to be back for the next league game, really.
Yeah.
He does make a big difference. Again, bringing him on in the last stages of yesterday's game could have seen us potentially get a point. He has got that about him. So, but yeah, mate, in the short term, it's definitely good to see them be able to influence games, and at worst case, it potentially lends them to some sort of move in the summer if we need to then advance on them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, we've lasted 35 minutes and we've not talked about the referee or VAR or any of that nonsense. We've got to do it, and I might spill into rant territory here. Do you know what I noticed, Jay? I've gotten used to how decisions are given in the Premier League, to the point where I was watching the game yesterday, and until it was kind of pointed out and seeing what people were putting on social media, it was then, oh my God, yeah, of course City are getting every decision and we're not. I'm just so used to watching us against, the top teams, or it even sometimes feels like just middle of the road teams, and we're just not getting anything. And I was like, yeah, God, there's a lot of stuff kind of flying past here that we're just used to, like, terrible refereeing. It's like we're so used to it. I don't even comment, or it doesn't even register anymore. But then when you see it again, you're like, what? But in particular, some of the, couple of incidents, Cherky, the stamp, on Gruev, which kind of looks worse every time you see it, because in real time, kind of getting on it, and Gruev, it's clearly in agony after it happens. You're watching it, and Cherky, that's nasty. There's definitely
it's a red card.
Definitely a stamp. Definitely knows what he's doing. He kind of uses Gruev's shin to kind of lift himself off. So what's the thing with VAR here? Did someone switch it off, or what's going on? Why is that not getting kind of picked up or something? So that one goes. Now the handball. Now obviously the handball rule, we know it's a mess. We know it changes game by game. What is a handball? What isn't a handball? The ball comes over. He isn't looking. He grabs. He's trying to hold on to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It hits that hand. We've seen those given. Again, there didn't seem to be any kind of VAR process or anything, or even any kind of check. Some people saying Leeds players didn't make a big enough deal about it, but I don't know if a lot of them didn't even see it.
You shouldn't have to.
No, shouldn't have to. And you're at that point going, well, what are we doing here, VAR? What's happening? These are two incidents where, that surely that can be picked up on. We've seen those type of penalties given before. And at the time, I wasn't that kind of, annoyed about it. But then when you see the hoopla around it, you see the screenshots of what actually happened, you're questioning it.
Yeah. I mean, Browney, I've gone on, as long as I've been on this show, I've gone on about referees. And, I remember us saying last season, we win the game 4-0, and I'm still moaning about the referees, complaining about the referees. They are so not fit for purpose. And I actually think it's worse in the Premier League. I think the Premier League officiating is worse than the Championship, because the Championship referees know they don't have VAR to rely on. So they're switched on. They're managing the game, they're officiating the game. I think in the Premier League, they've become so wet that they can't do the job properly. They literally can't do the job properly. I think it's fair that the referee may have missed the two decisions yesterday, the Cherky stamp and the handball. But we put VAR in place to make sure that the correct decisions are made at the correct times, to make sure the game is balanced out and as fair as it possibly can be. What's the point in having it there if then when these decisions are missed, they're not brought to the attention? If the referee sees what happens with Cherky, it's a red card.
Yeah.
If he stood over the top of that, he's a red card.
Yeah.
If he stood watching Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Nunez for the handball, if he's just watching that very one moment, it's a penalty. There's no ifs or buts for me. So I just don't get it, mate. I don't get it, and I don't understand what VAR are doing. What's the purpose of them? Do we just go to a world in which now where we just accept bigger teams getting the decisions because they're scared to make these calls? That's not sport.
No, it's not. But that very much feels where this is at the minute. They already have Man City, the Big Six. They already have so many institutional advances over the rest of the competition. They already have so many advantages because they got into that club before the ladder was pulled up. That you look at Aston Villa and Newcastle now, a classic. They're trying to punch. They're trying to get into that and break it, and they're so hamstrung by how it's set up. So you've already got that side of it. You already got it where Man City, Bournemouth's best player, Semenyo, Matt Gay, in January we can just go like that because we've got no concerns about PSR. It doesn't even touch them. Yeah. They've been successful over many years. Don't touch them. In fact, we'll have them best players yet. So I've already got all that. And then it feels like yesterday, if that happens to Man City, I guarantee at least one of them would have been retrospectively, that referee would have been heading over to the monitor and been told to check it. And it absolutely feels like that.
I agree. I have no doubt in my mind that would have been a penalty. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. It's not even like he hits him down by the sides. Some people are trying to say, well, he doesn't even know it's coming over. That's not our problem. That's his problem. The fact that he's not looking at the ball is his problem. The fact that it hits his hand, which is against the laws of the game, is his problem. You don't then go and start circumnavigating them and bending the rules to fit the defendee. That's not the way that it works. So it's crazy. It's literally crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question for you. If Pep Guardiola marches over to the referee at full time, does that referee already have a red card in his hand before the manager's even approached him and send Pep off? Not a chance. Not a chance. This guy was ready to go. Farke's storming over. Clearly, he's not going to be happy. It's not going to be a nice conversation. But he was ready to. He was like, didn't even look at me. He was just like, done.
I don't know if there's some sort of kind of rule now that is basically in place that referees, the managers are not allowed to approach referees at full time or something like that. That's kind of how it felt to me. I'm going to kind of go not against you on this one, but what I'll say is that referees are unbelievably egotistical. They are so full of their own self-importance and self-worth. Yeah. I believe that a referee may have done that to Pep. Had we won the game 1-0 and not added on time in the way that because that's what Daniel Farke was on. The referee gives a yellow card to Manchester City for time wasting in added time and then doesn't add time on. It makes no sense. I've just seen the Manchester City comment. Have some perspective, have some rationale, have some reality, take away the emotion, Mr. SBO, and then have a proper conversation about what you've factually seen in front of you. Yeah. This isn't us where you've probably never been on this show before. I don't know if you've watched us before, but we are not over emotional reactionary Leeds fans. We just say it as it is. Yesterday, you can't deny what's in front of you. You know, and Daniel Farke's, I mean, the reaction from Daniel Farke yesterday is so out of character.
Yeah.
So out of character. And I were a bit embarrassed that some of the players were having to pull him away, to be honest. I didn't really like it. If I'm totally honest. But what it did say to me was that he was so incensed by what had happened during the game. Some of the decisions that then didn't go our way that should have done, very clearly should have done. And then to be so lacking in common sense. You have booked a player for time wasting in added time. So how can there be no added time on the minimum added time? It makes no sense, Browney.
Absolutely insane. And the truth is, look, nothing may have come for it, but we had a throw-in halfway line or whatever. We had everybody piled up, you know, the ball before he blew, as he was blue, it went to Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, it was literally Dominic Calvert-Lewin was free.
Yeah, it was free. It's like, and then he's blowing up, and I think the thing with Farke, and that is a really interesting point, because I look at that now because he's is it 3 games he's going to have like touchline?
I don't know. I think it's just one game. I think it'll just be one. I think. Yeah,
because that's a concern, and you're right. I mean, we've never seen Farke react like that, and his assistant afterwards said, like, you know, over emotional, but it's almost like, you know, the straw that breaks the camel's back, isn't it? You know, because obviously the managers all have these monitors. He's probably seen the stamp. He's seen various stuff. City getting every single decision going, and you get to a boiling point, don't you? You absolutely just reach that point. Now, having to get torn away by your players, it's not a great look, because I think one of Farke's key attributes is coolness, calmness, you know, when the pressure's on, you know, that way. But yeah, I don't know. It must be so frustrating when you work on something all week and you get these. I mean, to not add any more time on was just crazy.
Yeah, and it's all well and good being okay with it when you are part of the corruption. You know, like it's. I have this conversation about boxing a lot. You know, there's a lot of corruption that goes on in boxing that fans don't really experience. You just kind of watch the fights and the promotions go ahead in the way that you do. And football's the same, you know. And I've got no axe to grind with Man City. I quite like the fact that they come and disrupted the flow of the top. I've got no love lost for Manchester United. They're our biggest rivals. No love lost for Chelsea. I'd much rather see the Premier League be as competitive as possible. I'd actually like to see Man City win the title this season. No, I've got no problem with Man City, but let's not be able to just dissect it and analyze it in the way that it is. And when you are seeing such black and white decisions, as you say, it must be infuriating, because you're basically going into a gunfight with a water pistol.
Yeah.
You know, you're already up against it, as you said earlier, and now you've got a situation in which, you know, you're then being played against by the officials. It's a reality. It is a reality. It is not difficult to see. And, you know, fans of teams that are now defending it, they will have once upon a time been moaning about it as well. When Manchester City were just another fish in the pond, they'll have had it as well. Yeah. Because it's definitely existed for longer than VAR. 100%. It's just got worse since.
Yeah, 100%.
So just check yourself, SBO, is what I'm saying. Yeah, check your own reality.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing as well. I mean, on a bigger issue is, if we stay up, if we continue to build, you do wonder, how do you get through that glass ceiling? How do you get to the other side in football these days? Because, you know, I know we had a group, chat in the group the other day about Super League. We should have just let him go.
Yeah,
just let them bugger off, and then we'll have a properly competitive league, where if you've recruited well, if you've spent wisely, if you've hired good players and developed, you know, you're not capped, basically. Because it's going to be a problem for Leeds. It's a problem for Newcastle now. It's a problem for Villa now. It's a problem for all those teams. I mean, look at Palace. You know, Palace win the FA Cup and then they get demoted in Europe for some stupid, it's stupid reason, really.
Yeah.
And then, their players are picked off. Manager wants to leave. It's hard, and with Leeds, eventually, if we are on that trajectory, we're going to have the same problems that these teams are having.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have had an unbelievable product for a period of time if the Super League had have happened, with regards to what would have been then left in the Premier League. The problem is, you'd have created a new cartel, of which we might have been a part of, Browney.
We might have been part of it.
We might have been a part of it. We might have been, because we are probably in that group of then the next size, right? Yeah. I think it would have been really good for a period of time. I do. I think it'd have been really, really good for a period of time in hindsight. I think that the idea of the Super League had become very dull very quick.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I don't think it's sustainable in that kind of fashion. No. Especially in this country, we are so what's the word? Almost a little bit feral. Our league system we're very protective of it, and it is what makes it so wonderful and so competitive. So yeah, I know, I think there'd have been pros and cons for it, but I do believe that we'd have ended up probably then creating a new beast. Before this, I won't go into what we were discussing before the show, but before the show, we were talking about how backwards the world is.
Yeah.
The same goes for football, really. We create our own menace. We create our own. We had such a good product once upon a time, and we've, out of lust and greed and all the negatives, we've created what we've now got. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely bang on. Money. That's what a lot of it comes down to. That's what we discuss with football now. It's like 50% discussion about football and then 50% the financial side of it. And that's where this greed and everything, this is why the game's locked down for those elite clubs.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are kind of scrapping about and trying our best and everything. One thing, that'll fascinate me, and I mentioned it in the group the other day, is these other clubs, Villa, Leeds now, whoever, don't have Mickey Mouse owners. They have ambitious, ruthless owners themselves. And you wonder how long they'll put up with being second fiddle, going forward, because everyone's ambitious. Everyone wants to be at the top table. So it'll be fascinating. We're supposed to have, it's supposed to be 20 votes in the Premier League. Get it sorted out. Get this nonsense with this financial capping. Get it scrapped. Doesn't make a bit of sense. Leeds are not in danger of going bust. Aston Villa are not in danger of going bust. Newcastle are owned by a bloody state. They're not in danger of going bust. Let's make it be fair. Salary cap, net transfer fund spending cap, and that's it. Everyone adheres to it, and then it's a case of who is best, who's bought well, who's acting smart, who's got the best tactics, what manager. Let's have it on sporting merit again instead of sorry, Man City just go in and just pluck these players, and it's like. It's so disheartening. I find it really disheartening and look, yes, I know it's always happened through history. We remember Manchester United getting Carrick and, we know all that, but it just feels now that it's just really at a tipping point. It's really at a tipping point.
Yeah, and the reason that teams did sell players once upon a time wasn't because a line on a piece of paper said that you've got to meet this quota of financial income in back. It was because the club might have needed the money, or they wanted to reinvest in a way they can work their business in a way in which they see fit. The fit and proper persons test that they've brought in for owners, it's nonsense. Look at some of the owners that we've had. Chelino and GFH and all that, and then they all pass these tests. It's a nonsense. And if some of the clubs further down the pyramid need things putting in place to protect them from dangerous owners, that's fine. But then you have something in place that is from X down, League One down, or what, however annual profit margin. If it's lower than this, you have to have an owner that meets these tests to protect these clubs. We don't want to see a situation like Bury. Absolutely not. But Bury is a very isolated incident. It's one club in terms of the whole bigger picture. It's all created to just put a constraint on clubs being able to join that section. Those at the top, usually American ownerships. They want it to be a closed book because they want to be able to guarantee their money towards their stakeholders, towards their shareholders. That's it. That is why they've wanted to abolish relegation, because they want to know exactly what money they've got to deal with next season. If Spurs get relegated, it's going to cause them unbelievable suffering. But that should be the way that it is, based on sporting merit and meritocracy. So it's just. The whole system is a little rigged, and I understand why so many fans then divert towards going and watching non-league football, and they go down that route and they support the locals, all the rest of it. This isn't just a Leeds United issue, and I want us to bridge that gap. Of course I do, but I would still prefer it to be in a way in which it's going to encourage sporting merit, which at the minute it doesn't feel like. It does in football in general.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Ryan, thank you for that, mate. Really appreciate that. Please do like the video if you're watching along. Get subscribed to the channel. Well, looking ahead then, Jay, we'll be keeping an eye on results this afternoon. You've got Spurs away at Fulham, and you've got Forest away at Brighton, both 2:00 kickoffs. Obviously, we'll be keeping a close eye on them, and hopefully it'll be, as you were, two difficult games there. How do you see those going? Fulham, Tottenham, not an easy game for Tottenham at all.
No, neither of them are easy games, really. I think Brighton will probably have the security that they're now safe after getting a win last week. I think I would be surprised if they both lose. It'd be an unbelievable day for us if they both lose. I would imagine there'll be at least a point picked up somewhere, or maybe even 3, who knows. Forest, I think, away at Brighton's a really interesting one. If Spurs lose this one, which they could well do, I'd be so worried if I were them.
Yeah, I would.
So worried. This is such a winnable game on paper for Spurs. But with where they're at, I think it's going to be the game that I watch. I am going to watch a game a day because I've not got to see much football yesterday. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to watching them. Again, we can watch it with the knowledge that the 18th is going to get no closer regardless. It doesn't really matter. We don't need to finish in front of Spurs, Forest and West Ham. We only need to finish in front of one of them. So looking forward to it, mate. Really looking forward to it. And I think it's funny what's going on down there at the minute. I mentioned to you the other day that Wolves at home as an example, Burnley at home as an example, are not guaranteed conclusions. You know, we have to be careful with them games. We're banking on the fact that we're going to get 6 points out of them. Wolves beat Villa at home on Friday. Burnley were 3-0 down against Brentford and came back. They then scored a goal that got ruled out for handball themselves. And well, they had 2 goals ruled out in that game. They had one ruled out for a shoulder being offside. It was literally about this much. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that had put them 4-3 in front from 3-0 down. And then they have a last-minute equaliser, which kind of comes off Ashley Barnes' chest and touches his arm. And then, I mean,
2 points behind West Ham. If they'd have won that.
Yeah, I know. And let's be fair. I mean, I know this Man City nutcase in the chat is trying to puff on, and we're just now ignoring him. But the handball that Ashley Barnes gets given against him yesterday is not even close to the Cherky handball that wasn't given. So, and I know the rules are slightly different. The rules are nonsense. They shouldn't be different. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. These games are not going to be drawn out conclusions for anybody. You know, the teams that are down there at this point, if you're on 29 points like Spurs or 27, I think Forest are on, you're in that kind of area of the table because you don't pick up a lot of points.
Yeah.
So the likelihood is that they're probably not going to pick up a lot of points today either.
Yeah, absolutely. Gav, 3 points, a must on Tuesday now. Hope the lads take their City frustrations out on the Mackems. Now, in terms of big games, Tuesday feels like a massive game. It feels like we're almost 1 win away from kind of being able to say we're just about there. You know, we could just get that little bit of a bigger gap and it really would start to feel comfortable. But you're playing against a team, Sunderland, not in great form, sinking like a stone a little bit. They're 6 points in front of us. It's Ellen Road. It's under the lights. I mean, it feels set up for us there. Obviously, Farker now, touchline ban. What are your thoughts on that? Does it feel as big as, you know, what we'd think with that one?
I mean, I've lost count with the amount of times I've said to Gav this season that it's not a must-win. And it's not a must-win because we still have 9 games after it and we are comfortably in front at the minute. And we've got some really winnable home games. But it's a really great opportunity, Browney. Yeah. It's a really, really great opportunity. You know, I would love to believe it's a must not lose. Again, another point on the board wouldn't be the end of the world. It really wouldn't because you're just looking towards that total. But it's a great opportunity to kind of nail it. I think you're right. I think 1 win, it kind of feels like that will then leave us with almost too much time not to pick up the rest of the points that we needed, if that made sense. So I think, and I think we do win on Tuesday. I've said Sunderland a bang average all season. They were fortunate to then get a point against Bournemouth at the weekend again. But that's just the way that their season's kind of gone. Yeah. I do think they were very unfortunate not to have a penalty of their own, however. I'm guessing most people will have seen that foul go around. My word. I mean, I don't even know what even is a foul even. But yeah, it's a great opportunity, mate. Sunderland are 17th in the away table. They don't travel particularly well. Most of their points have come at home. Leeds will be really gunning for them after what happened yesterday, and I think we win the game. I think we win the game quite comfortably. Yeah,
I'm expecting one of those Leeds United night games again where we get the business done. You did throw an interesting stat at the start. You popped it in our private chat, and it is definitely worth mentioning because we've got all these teams coming against us at Ellen Road. Sunderland, like you say, 17th in the away table, Brentford 10th, Wolves 20th, Burnley 19th, Brighton 14th in the away table. So this gives us confidence, doesn't it, that the teams that have got to come to Ellen Road, you know, they're not dynamite on the road.
Yeah, 100% it does. You know, and because we are so good at home, it then does give us even more confidence. There's in my psyche, you know, again, when we went down, it didn't feel like this. But this season, we're just going to pick up enough points at home. Yeah. We just are. Like, I could sit quite confidently in the knowledge that we lose all of the away games between now and the end of the season, and I still think we'd be absolutely fine. I don't think we will do that, but that's how it feels with the way that we're playing and the way that we're setting up. You know, even in the difficult games, we're still so competitive that then leads well into the next game and the next game. So the ball just gets sucked into the net at Ellen Road a little bit, especially in the night games, you know. So didn't last night, unfortunately, but most of the time it does. So yeah, I just think we're gonna have more than enough. You know, we're on 31 points now. I've just seen Skip's message. I still think that's too high. I'm just gonna bring it up there. Oh, sorry. I'll let you do it. I still think this is way too high, if I'm honest. And when I say way too high, I'm being dramatic in that I think it'll be around 36.
Yeah.
And I think that is why we are now predicted to be so close to staying up. Yeah. Because, you know, we do this as fans. We did it last year, and we do it in the promotion campaigns where we're like, oh, we need to just win every single game because Burnley and Sheffield United are going to win every single game, and all of a sudden, then we finish the season with a 10-point gap on third. You know what I mean? Like it's similar to that, and we've seen a bit of a resurgence from West Ham, but it kind of papers over the cracks there. They're still not great. Spurs are honking bad.
Yeah, they are.
Like honking bad. Everybody's just expecting them to pick up form and turn it around. Well, based on the evidence, now that might come. You know, the comfort that we want in here. You know, we kind of. We set ourselves up for failure, don't we? We set ourselves up with that catastrophe situation of them just being so good. But are all three of them? Are you saying that all three of them teams are going to finish on 40 points?
No.
Not going to happen.
Not a chance.
They've managed, you know, Spurs, even as the best of the three, they're on 29 points after 27 games. In what world are they then going to get 11 points in the next 10?
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
It's so unlikely. It's so unlikely.
No, it really is. Gav says here, Fulham versus West Ham and City versus Forest. Yeah, I think those are the Wednesday games, aren't they, after we played the Tuesday. So yeah, I mean, it'll be lovely to come on and think it's done. Good stuff. All right, well, we'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone who commented. And if you've not done so already, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching this again later. Get your comments in as well. Let us know what you thought. But Jay, thank you very much for joining us. I've been Stephen Brown, and we will catch you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.